The Crybaby Bridge is a unique and widespread genre of American urban legend. It is not limited to a specific location, but instead represents a narrative template that has become deeply embedded in the cultural landscape of the United States. At its core, this folkloric tradition is defined by a simple yet chilling blueprint. A historical bridge, typically spanning a river or creek, is said to be haunted by the spirit of a baby or young child. The haunting's most common manifestation is the sound of a baby's cries, often heard on a dark or foreboding night. These eerie phenomena are invariably attributed to a tragic backstory, usually involving infanticide, a fatal accident, or a combination of both. The ubiquitous nature of the Crybaby Bridge across diverse regions, from the wooded hills of Kentucky and Ohio to the rural landscapes of Texas and the mid-Atlantic, signals its status as a foundational archetype in modern American folklore. A purely local legend would likely remain confined to its place of origin, its details closely tied to a specific community's history. The fact that the same core narrative appears with only minor regional adaptations in places as disparate as Kentucky, Texas, Pennsylvania, and Illinois demonstrates that the story is highly portable. It resonates with a broad, shared audience, not because of a specific historical event, but because it addresses a common and deeply unsettling human fear. This remarkable ability to travel and adapt makes the Crybaby Bridge phenomenon a powerful vehicle for cultural expression, transcending a simple list of hauntings to become a subject worthy of serious cultural analysis. The following report will analyze its narrative archetypes, geographic variations, historical origins, and modern digital propagation to decode what these enduring legends reveal about the cultural fabric of the United States. The folkloric template of the Crybaby Bridge is characterized by a set of consistent and compelling narrative elements that resonate with deep-seated societal anxieties. At the heart of most versions lies the archetype of the monster mother, a figure who fails to fulfill her most fundamental role. The tales attribute a variety of tragic motives to her actions, reflecting a collective cultural preoccupation with the dark potential of motherhood. In some legends, the mother is driven by desperation and shame, having become pregnant out of wedlock, as is the case in the legend of the Van Sant Bridge in New Hope, Pennsylvania. In others, she is unable to care for a child that is unwanted, sick, or deformed, a detail found in the legends of Sleepy Hollow Road in Kentucky. Still other stories, such as the one in Bear River City, Utah, attribute the mother's actions to supernatural forces like demonic possession. While the monster mother is the most prevalent theme, variations on the legend introduce alternative explanations for the tragedy. Some stories attribute the baby's death to a fatal car accident, where the mother's vehicle veers off the bridge and the child accidentally drowns. Other narratives introduce a malevolent third party, such as the legend of the Sarah Jane Bridge in Port Neches, Texas, where a man is said to have murdered the child's mother and then thrown the baby into alligator-infested waters below. Locations can also become associated with a wider ecosystem of supernatural forces, as seen in parts of Maryland where legends of cults and the bloodthirsty half-man, half-goat creature known as the Goatman have become attached to the same sites as the Crybaby Bridge folklore. The spectral encounters associated with these locations also follow a recognizable pattern. The primary motif is the disembodied sound of a baby crying, a sound so central to the legend that it gives the bridges their name. However, some legends feature more visceral and interactive paranormal phenomena. Visitors to the bridges may report seeing ghostly figures, a ghostly mother crying out in agony while searching for her lost child, or even finding the supernatural imprint of a baby's hand on their car window. The consistent reappearance of these themes across different locations suggests a powerful, shared cultural framework for understanding and processing trauma. The legend functions as a modern-day cautionary tale. By externalizing the traumatic and taboo subject of infanticide into a supernatural narrative, it provides a safe narrative space for communities to confront fears related to mental health, societal pressures on women, and the dark potential of motherhood. This is a common function of folklore, which often frames complex human failings and real-world tragedies in a way that provides a clear villain, a moral order, and a sense of comprehensibility. This process makes an unspeakable act of human desperation or violence feel more manageable and more structured. The Crybaby Bridge phenomenon is best understood through an examination of its diverse manifestations across different regions, which reveal how the core narrative adapts to fit local histories and landscapes. Ohio is a particular hotbed for these legends, with multiple crybaby bridges located across the state. The bridge on Egypt Road near Salem, for example, has a legend attributing the crying baby to one that accidentally drowned. This existing folkloric narrative was later enhanced by a real-life tragedy when, in 2010, an elderly woman was found strangled to death and burned just off the bridge. Similarly, the Maud Hughes Road Bridge in Liberty Township, Ohio, has a documented history of suicides and tragic accidents, which are now woven into the supernatural narrative of the site. The convergence of a crybaby legend with a recent, documented murder is a clear example of folklore acting as a living system, constantly adapting and incorporating new events. The location's existing reputation for tragedy made it a natural destination for a new grim story to take root, creating a narrative magnet that attracts and absorbs other legends and real-life events. In Monmouth, Illinois, the legend involves a school bus full of elementary school children who supposedly drowned in a flood. The story has a unique twist. If a car is put in neutral while crossing the bridge at night, the car will veer toward the edge only to be pushed back to safety by the ghostly hands of the drowned children. This tale, however, was partially debunked by paranormal investigator Barb Heiser, who found rational explanations for the alleged phenomena. She attributed the sensation of the car being pushed to a slight incline on the bridge and explained that handprints found on cars were likely caused by human oil residue, not ghostly hands. Maryland is home to several crybaby bridges, including the Governor's Bridge Road Bridge, one on Lotsford Vista Road, and a third in Westminster. The legend of the Lotsford Vista Road Bridge is a particularly rich example of folkloric superposition where multiple, often unrelated supernatural narratives converge on a single, geographically significant location. Over a decade-long period from 1974 to 1984, the site developed a reputation as a popular dumping ground for dead bodies. This powerful grim history made the location fertile ground for a wide range of folkloric elements. The presence of both the Crybaby Bridge legend and the Goatman myth on the same site demonstrates that the location's reputation is often a more important factor in the perpetuation of a story than the specific details of a single legend. A critical analysis of the Crybaby Bridge phenomenon reveals a consistent pattern: the transformation of real, often mundane, tragic facts into fantastical, moralistic legends. This process reflects a fundamental human need to find narrative meaning and order in random acts of tragedy. The human mind seeks a clear cause, a villain, and a lesson where reality offers only chaos and incomprehensibility. The legend of the Crybaby Bridge in Bear River City, Utah, is a compelling case study of this transformation. The local legend tells of a mother who, believing her children were possessed by the devil, drove her car off the bridge into the river, killing everyone inside. However, historical records reveal a different and equally tragic reality. An article from May 16, 1931, detailed an accident in which a mail carrier swerved to avoid a dog, lost control of his car, and struck a 4-year-old boy named Ellis Anderson, throwing him off the bridge and into the river below. The boy's father pulled his body from the water, but Ellis was already dead. The divergence between the documented fact and the circulating legend is significant. The random tragedy of Ellis Anderson's death is less narratively compelling than the dramatic, deliberate tale of a mother possessed. The fact that the story evolved from an accident into a sensationalized murder-suicide reflects a desire for a clear cause and effect that is more satisfying than a random, senseless death. This transformation, however, has had a profound emotional impact on the Anderson family. According to a comment from a descendant, the family considers the event a sacred memory, and its conversion into a sensationalized ghost story has been a source of offense and pain. The Crybaby Bridge folklore also provides a platform for skeptical inquiry. The legend of the Sarah Jane Bridge in Port Neches, Texas, claims the bridge is haunted by a baby named Sarah Jane, who was thrown into alligator-infested waters. However, direct comparison with factual history reveals that the legendary Sarah Jane is based on a real person, Sarah Jane Block, who lived to the age of 99 and did not lose any children. This appropriation of a real name adds a layer of superficial authenticity to a fictional narrative, demonstrating a common folkloric practice of grounding tales in verifiable but misleading details. Furthermore, the debunking efforts in Monmouth, Illinois, where the ghostly hand sensation was attributed to a slight incline and an optical illusion, provides a concrete example of how scientific inquiry can demystify paranormal claims. This process highlights the important distinction between the folkloric significance of a story and its factual basis. The Crybaby Bridge phenomenon is not merely an old-fashioned oral tradition. It is a case study for understanding the evolution of folklore in the digital age. In 1999, Maryland folklorist Jesse Glass presented a case against several crybaby bridges being genuine folklore. He argued they were instead fake lore, knowingly propagated through the internet. According to Glass, nearly identical stories began to appear online for bridges in both Maryland and Ohio around the same time, but they could not be confirmed through local oral history or media reports. This observation suggests a fundamental shift in the creation and transmission of folklore. The internet has become a new, faster, and more fluid environment for the birth and spread of new legends, blurring the lines between what is considered authentic folklore and what is digitally created. The widespread availability of online forums, social media, and websites like Weird US allows a story to be created and then instantly disseminated to a global audience. This process is a departure from the slower, more localized, and organic spread of older oral traditions. The fact that a specific year, 1999, and a specific origin, the internet, can be pinpointed for these stories is a digital fingerprint of this new process. It suggests a shift from a bottom-up model, where local events give rise to oral tales, to a top-down model, where a compelling narrative framework is created online and then applied to existing locations. Once circulated, a story created as fake lore can be adopted and retold orally, effectively becoming a new piece of folklore. The rise of creepypasta, a genre of horror stories written anonymously and circulated online, is a modern parallel to this phenomenon, demonstrating the speed and transformative power of digital media on traditional storytelling. Beyond their entertainment value, Crybaby Bridge legends serve a crucial cultural function by providing a symbolic outlet for collective anxieties. The bridge itself plays a key role, acting as a liminal space, a physical location that exists in between two worlds. Bridges connect land masses, cross over water, and link past to present. This physical liminality makes them a natural setting for stories about tragedy, transition, and the supernatural. The stories function as a form of collective memory, creating a shared mythic consciousness for a community, even when the history is entirely invented. This shared consciousness explains the phenomenon of morbid tourism, where people visit these sites to engage directly with the stories. The very act of visiting these locations is a performance of cultural belief, a ritual that reinforces the folklore regardless of whether one believes in ghosts. This is particularly true for legends that contain specific instructions for a paranormal encounter, such as the Utah legend that advises visitors to honk 3 times to hear the ghostly children, or the Illinois legend that instructs people to sprinkle baby powder on their car to find ghostly handprints. By following these instructions, visitors are actively participating in the myth. This participatory element transforms the passive act of hearing a story into a physical shared experience, which is crucial for the perpetuation of folklore in an age of widespread skepticism and digital media. The Crybaby Bridge phenomenon is a multifaceted and enduring folkloric tradition. It is a narrative template that is both historically rooted in older oral traditions and digitally propagated by modern media. The widespread nature of these legends, their consistent themes, and their powerful narrative archetypes reveal a great deal about the cultural fabric of the United States. They serve as a conduit for deep-seated anxieties about parenthood, morality, and the nature of tragedy, offering a structured framework for making sense of unspeakable or chaotic events. While the paranormal claims associated with these bridges are often unsubstantiated and can be explained by rational, natural phenomena, the legends themselves are profoundly significant. They are not merely ghost stories told for entertainment. They are powerful reflections of our deepest fears, our enduring need to find meaning in tragedy, and the evolving nature of storytelling in the digital age. The Crybaby Bridge stands as a testament to the continued relevance of folklore, as a means of exploring the anxieties and beliefs that shape modern society, demonstrating that even in a highly skeptical and technological world, the pull of a good mystery and a haunting tale remains powerful. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.